The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina as they serve up the hottest photography news and commentary.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 170. I'm Joseph Christina. On last week's show, we talked about the 2014 Photo Plus Expo held in New York City and looked at some of the cool new products and services introduced at the show. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at digitalphotographycafe.com and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/dphotocafe. Listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps, or subscribe through iTunes or RSS. So, all right, guys, we are back. Yet another show, but there's no one to the left and no one to the right. Where is Trevor? He's not here. He's not here. Unfortunately, he's been extremely busy. He wasn't able to get with us this week for the show, but as they say, the show must go on. So this week, I'm going to kind of make it a little bit of a short show, but I want to give you some information that I think is really important, give you a little teaser for possibly next show. So a few weeks ago, we were talking about Adobe Lightroom and how we believe that it's probably going to turn into a subscription-based model. And folks are saying, well, I've been getting a lot of feedback saying, you know, we don't want this. We don't want this subscription. Is there any alternative? What can we do? Is there another package that we can use that's similar to Lightroom? So I've been putting forth a lot of effort trying to find alternatives. And a few weeks back, there was a press release that came out. We received probably, 80, 100 press releases or something just before the show to either do interviews with the corporations, with the small companies, large corporations, the movers and shakers and whatnot, as we do for every show. And one of the PR releases that came out, one of the press releases that came out was from Corel, and it was for the package called AfterShot Pro 2, the latest and greatest version. Now, this has been around for a bit, probably, I don't know, since like May, June, I don't know. It's been around for some months, but they've made some revisions, and some of the revisions are like 64-bit and other stuff that's really important to photo editing. So I went through the press release, I read through all the other kind of information I could find out, and I said, you know, this might be a possible alternative, right, to Adobe Lightroom. Bear in mind, I am a Lightroom user since day one. I started using Lightroom when Adobe introduced the beta version. I was one of the beta testers. I used it from the very, very beginning. And I enjoy it. Not only do I enjoy it, I make plugins for it, right, guys? So I'm in it, and I'm in it waist deep, so to speak. But so I'm looking at it as a professional, but I'm also going to look at this Corel product also as a person that has used Lightroom extensively since the beginning. So I was looking at it, I'm like, well, you know, this looks like it's going to be good. And so I reached out and said, listen, contacted the folks at Corel and said, listen, can we get a copy for review? And what happened this week was they were very nice enough to provide one. So I'm going to look at it. And like I said, I'm going to look at it in these eyes as a professional that is doing probably 250,000 photographs a year or more. Works with large corporations and magazine covers and a lot of other stuff that I work on. And I'm going to look at it with those eyes, and also the eyes, like I said, from the person that has used Lightroom extensively. So we'll see what we end up getting out of this package. So I have it. I'm looking at it. I haven't gotten very deep with it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you guys on that journey and looking at it. I'm going to try to record that type of first experience with it. And see what we see. It might be something good for you guys, but I guess we'll see what ends up happening. So anyways, before we get into it, let's go ahead and take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
So, all right, guys, we are back. So I'm going to kind of take a look at the press release and some of the features and kind of an overview of AfterShot Pro 2. But before I do, I want to kind of look at a video that they put together that kind of highlights these type of features and whatnot. So let's take a quick look. What do you think, guys? Well, if you're only listening, you only got to hear that catchy tune. You didn't get to see any of the videos. So hopefully you guys are watching the video. But regardless, I like it. I like it. Really, really good job. I love the little bird, right? The little bird is awesome. So anyways, let's take a look at it. Let's delve into this. What are the features and what does it all entail? What does it got here? So 64-bit, like we said, they're talking about 30% faster. Which sounds really, really good. They were talking also about in the press release that it is more than twice as fast, maybe even 3 times as fast as Adobe Lightroom. They actually named Lightroom proper. So that's interesting. For me, that sounds really, really good, because when I'm doing, let's say 300, 400, 500 pictures and I'm exporting thumbnails, I'm exporting web readies and proofs, and I'm exporting print size, and I batch all these together in Lightroom, sometimes it will take like 40 minutes to get it all done. And these are on like i7s, fast machines. So faster is good. We always say time is money, so less time is good for me. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. I like that whole idea. So next, they're saying 26 new camera profiles and RAW support. That's to be expected. These type of image editing software, they need to keep current with the latest and greatest cameras that are out there as far as what RAW they're using. So RAW support is very important. And then also profiling is very important when it comes to like lenses and bodies and whatnot. So if you have any vignetting or you have any kind of distortion due to lens distortion, it'll actually correct that in the software. So that's really good. Lightroom does the exact same thing. They're also saying that it now will include HDR. So we'll have HDR software built into it. Now that's pretty cool because I know in the past I've purchased HDR software to check it out, to review it, and it has cost me $150 or something for HDR software. Now this has it built in. That's pretty good, guys. That's not bad. High dynamic range is very, very important for photography today. It's a thing that you do not have to make HDR images look like just this horribly saturated mess. And many people that started out in HDR have created this, I would say, this look or this stigma of HDR that just, what is that? It doesn't even look real. This surreal look. So for me, I use HDR all the time, especially when I'm doing photography of internals to buildings. Let's say if I'm doing $1 million property and I'm inside of a foyer and outside of the foyer is their pool. Well, we know if we're going to take a picture inside and the outside will be right through that window, well, it's going to be blown out. So what do you have to do? You're going to have to do double, triple, quadruple exposure, and then eventually merge them together so you can get a nice look of what it looks like outside by the pool area, and then also a nice look in the foyer. So it's important. HDR, like I said, doesn't need to look crazy. What it needs to do is allow you the ability, or what it does is allows you the ability to merge extreme situations together, and then that merging creates one image that will look like how your eye sees it. So that's the whole idea. Next, they're talking about faster batch processing. Like I was just saying, batch processing for me is very, very important. And anytime that you can do batch processing faster, that's going to save time, which saves money. That's very, very important to me. And anyone that's doing, let's say, a gala or some type of shoot where they're actually dealing with hundreds, sometimes even 1,000, let's say 2,000 pictures in a wedding, you want to proof those out. Well, if you can proof those things out 50% quicker, you're doing yourself a favor, right? So that sounds really good. Localized contrast control. Now, if you've been in Lightroom for any period of time, or Aperture or whatever you use, you know localized control is very important. Those non-destructive layers where you can go in there and paint areas that, let's say you want more contrast, less contrast, more light, less light, or whatever. Very important. It has that. Now that it does have the 64-bit architecture, they're saying that it's supporting files up over 250 megabytes each. So that's really good. That is nice, and that's normal for 64-bit architecture. Same thing with Lightroom. You're going to be able to edit large photographs. They're saying TIFFs at 30 meg or bigger, so that's really good. Next, noise reduction. Noise reduction, I think, is probably one of the best features, one of the main features that I use on a regular basis for doing, let's say, for example, event photography. Event photography is usually nighttime stuff where you're in low light situations, the light is horrible, it's yellow light, you're doing corrective stuff, and you end up with slight noise. Even if you're using, like for us, we're using 5Ds, and those 5Ds are doing really well with noise, but still you get some of that noise. So noise reduction, every single gala gets hit with some type of noise reduction. Now this has noise reduction built in by, I believe it's a company, I think it's called Athentech or whatnot. Now what's interesting here, guys, is so now you have this noise reduction by a different company, but inside the software. So that's very interesting, and we'll get into that a little bit later, but keep that in mind. So noise reduction's in there. Of course, you have a full gamut of all of your adjustments. You got your crop and your straightening and your light, highlight recovery and noise, and like we were saying, and color, temperature, and on, which is to be expected. It also does multi-version editing. For me, I use multi-version editing all the time. I do a side-by-side of two images. And then what do? We take one and we might make it black and white. The other one, we might do some other type of coloring to it. One will be the regular one, and then another one might be some type of other enhancement. And then export those, send them over to the client, say, what are you looking for? What kind of floats your boat for this specific use? And then they come back. That's really, really important to take one image instead of having to make multiple and then edit them non-destructively and be able to change stuff on the fly. Very good. Next, any kind of selective editing. We were talking about that with paintbrushing and just painting in things that you need. It does that. It does the regionalize or layer editing for isolating areas, which is good. Lightroom does the exact same thing. So next, this is kind of the norm with color correction. Color correction is very important. It does just like you would think. You know, you got your black drop or your gray drop or your white drop, or you can do your color correction like that. You could control your vibrancy, saturation, color balance. You got a mix. You have some nice curves that you can play with that look interesting. I haven't played with them yet. Like I said, I'm going to bring you guys aboard when I do, so you can kind of take a look at it with me. So levels, curves, lens correction, like we were talking before. They're saying that it has 350 lenses in there, and that lens count keeps going up as new lenses are created, which is very important. Like we were saying earlier, this way you can reduce that vignetting. You can reduce chromatic aberration. You can reduce everything that you would think that you can do with Lightroom, you can do with this as far as that image correction based on lens. So that's important because I do use that a lot. So let's say if I'm shooting a 70 to 200, it'll automatically say, oh, hey, he's using a 70 to 200. Boom, I can say auto adjust. And then all of a sudden someone that like their nose is popping out of the picture all of a sudden goes bloop and it backs off because he took out that barrel or whatnot. So it's really, it's a great feature, and I'm glad that they have that in this package because it is used by pros all the time. Anyways, image management. It has a good image manager in it, according to what they're saying, which is important to me. That means that you're going to be able to do your star selections, which is important for rating and for figuring out which is going to be the ones you're going to be sending to the client, which ones are going to go into the trash, which ones are going to be your finals. So that's really good. And I use that all the time. Some people use colors because Lightroom has colors. You can do different colors. Some people do star ratings. Some people do just a flag, so they can do positive, negative type of thing, either flagged yes to flag no, as into the garbage. I don't like that way. I personally use a star rating method. So anything that gets 1 star is a maybe. So out of 500 images, there might be 250 maybes. And then all of a sudden, the 1 stars becomes 100 images. Then all of a sudden, the 2 stars become 3 stars, and there's only maybe 25 left. 4 stars might only be 10, and then the 5th star is for the client. Or we use the last 4 and 5 star for the client, however. But the bottom line is I like that methodology better because it gives me a way to be able to back into the old stuff. So if someone says, I like this, but is there one that's just slightly off? I can go back into that area, change it from, let's say, 3 stars down to 2 stars and see the other ones around that time and find one that maybe they would want that I might have said, it doesn't deserve that 3-star rating. So that's my method. So it does have that built in, and I'm glad that it does. It also has a really good search engine. I played with it a little bit, and the way it does is it does it with labels, it does it with tagging, it does it with keywords, it does it with star ratings. The same thing as Lightroom. Really nice. That I use all the time. So now, what do we do with the pictures once they're in there? Now, it has the customizable asset management built into it, just like Lightroom would. Basically, what does that all mean? Cataloging, right? We want to catalog our stuff. Now, the one thing that I read here that sounds interesting and I really like is they're saying that the way the workflow works here is that you do not have to add images into a catalog just to edit them. Whereas, like, for example, with Adobe Lightroom, let's say 2,000 pictures from this event or from a wedding. Well, we have to load all those 2,000 pictures in to go and make edits on them, right? Well, the problem with that is now you have this catalog that's got 2,000 images in them. Well, I don't want 2,000 images in it, right? So then you have to go and delete the ones that are, let's say, 0 stars out of the catalog. So I don't really like that method at all. So this sounds really interesting, being able to add them into a catalog or not. So maybe what we do is, for me, maybe I'll take all 2 stars and above and they get put into the catalog. And then those are now searchable. But it gives me the ability to not necessarily add everything into a catalog. Because right now, like I was saying, I mean, for a year, we might have 2, 3, 400,000 images. So the course of 3, 4, 5 years, now we're at over 1 million images in a catalog, right? So you could do multiple catalogs in Lightroom, but the problem is now you have to search multiple catalogs. If you have one catalog of everything, now you're searching through 1 million plus photographs, and it is lethargic, as it should be, right? So anyways, moving on. It gives you full adjustments, obviously, for editing, but the adjustments, the package itself does these adjustments, but it's based on 3 different OSs, which I really like. So the software works in, let's say, Mac, but it also works in Windows, and it also works where? Linux. Some people just, they've come to me and they said, listen, I have Linux. What can I use? I'm kind of stuck. And we've shown them some products that were out there, but they're more of a little bit of a gray area product where they're just not as finished. Corel, we know, is very big as a big company. It's more finished. So having a Linux version of this software is really cool. I'm excited about that. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. I haven't looked at it in Linux. We're going to look at with you guys. We're going to kind of give that first look through the eyes of a Mac. So we'll see what ends up transpiring with that. So it also does what we were talking about with the batch processing, but it'll do it in multiple ways. So you can batch output either web stuff, or you can batch output prints, or you can also batch output like galleries or whatnot. So that kind of makes it kind of neat. Now, I like this feature a lot. Now, being that I make presets for Lightroom, I like to get my hands dirty with software and really kind of get in there and really kind of wring it out and use it to the absolute best of my ability and the best of its ability to give me what I'm looking for. So this software is the first that offers an SDK. What does that mean? That means that a programmer could write either a 32-bit app or a 64-bit app based on their SDK, and then offer it either for a monetary offering, in other words, for a paid add-on, plugin, or free. And I was looking on their site earlier, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of free plugins that you can download that people have written for Corel AfterShot Pro 2. So very interesting. I like that. I like that a lot. Now, it does use OpenCL support. It does have that support, which is really good. That means that OpenCL gives the software the ability to use your GPU, your graphics processor on your board, on your graphics board to its fullest and really squeeze it and get every little bit out of it. And that's probably where they're getting that extra 30+% speed. Because I tell you what, I just loaded in a couple of pictures and it was snappy as crazy, really snappy. So I don't know, I'm excited to delve deep into it. So we'll see. Anyways, as far as the product itself goes, it's online. It used to be like $79. I think during the holidays now it's going to be cheaper, but we'll get into pricing on the next show and where you can go and find it and get possibly a reduced price. But as far as the OSs that are available that you can use this on, you could use it on your Windows machine, either Windows 8.1, Windows 8, or Windows 7, Vista XP. So, and it will do, like I said, 32-bit or 64-bit. What's interesting is it needs 400 meg. Now, God, I know when you download Lightroom, just the compressed package is like 700-800 meg. When it's open, it's over a gig. So 250 meg as far as space that you need, which is really quite small. About 2 gigs of RAM, which makes sense. I would say if you're doing image editing, you need at least 4 gigs of RAM. I wouldn't go by that minimum, and 8 is preferred. We use 16 on our machines, and it really kind of lightens the load some. It doesn't have to cache it all, and things are a little bit more snappy. On the Macintosh side, it'll use from the OS 10.7.3 on up. And then on the Linux side, it'll do Fedora as well as Ubuntu. both 32-bit and 64-bit. So either which way on that side. So it looks like they're covering all bases, which I really like in comparison to Lightroom, where you have this or you have that. You have either Mac or PC. They don't look at Linux at all. I like that they're actually looking at Linux, number one. And number two, I really, really like that they're putting out there an SDK for people to produce add-ons to even use their package even more, let's say. Anyways, that's really kind of like a synopsis of the software itself. I don't know if it's going to be good, bad, or indifferent. How it reads, it looks like it's going to be phenomenal. But when I get in there waist deep, like I do in Lightroom, we'll know. And like I said, I'm going to take you guys on the journey. Hopefully, it'll be next week. If not, the following. We'll see if Trevor will be back next week or not. But kind of fingers are crossed, and we'll see and kind of take it from there. All right, guys, we need to get out of here for yet another week. Hopefully, you guys were watching so you can see that video and not just hear that wonderful music that they provided. But anyways, if you want to get a hold of me, you can do so through Twitter, and that's at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H. You can also get a hold of Trevor, and that's at Trevor Current, and that's also, once again, on Twitter. Sorry, everyone, we are out of here. You can get all the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/170. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/dphotocafe. And we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Current and Joseph Christina. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with any compatible device by visiting youtube.com/dphotocafe. Be sure to subscribe to our audio feed through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps, or through RSS. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your host.